Okay, cut to 2. Okay, let's cut 1. Multimedia has overtaken trimedia as the term in communication to signify media that tap print, television, and radio in media campaigns and strategies. Years ago, just making use of two media has been likewise called multimedia. Today, multimedia has gone beyond the simple combination of 2 or 3 media, but the convergence of these traditional media into a synergized computer-created medium. Its ways of distribution can be broadcast on the airwaves, cable, satellite disk, and of course the web, or transferred to VCD, DVD, or CD-ROM formats, and distributed titles that are marketed in store outlets. Today, it can mean computer games, interactive kiosks, or computer-based training materials. Interactive games and materials for the web are now very, very popular. Their elements can be composed of text, graphics, photographs, drawings, animation, video, and virtual reality. Multimedia are most effective media for learning. These materials stimulate more than one sense organ in our body, and your eyes and ears are simultaneously used to interpret the text. This automatically maximizes comprehension. There is this question: can everything be put into multimedia form? My answer, of course, is yes. Many have decided on being a paperless institution and therefore making all work and transactions to be done through computers. For simple computer use and document shifts, maybe a lot of savings in paper and printing expenses, and plain documentation for your multimedia library may likewise be inexpensive. But for transforming data into more intricate but usable presentations, as of the moment, may be expensive. This therefore may stop you from turning everything into multimedia productions. The process involves quite a number of crew and creative staff to create its final form. So it may be wise if you just select sections that you feel are in need for more articulation beyond words. If concepts are already satisfactorily explained through print and photographs, then you can leave them as is. The addition of movement and sound as elements in the presentation of information and data makes the material leap into a category all its own. But the prevalent use of multimedia is, of course, not very far behind. So it may happen that everybody will be using this multimedia form very soon. As print and publications of books for worldwide consumption transformed human activities for many centuries, multimedia will change the everyday lives of the peoples of the world in probably in the coming centuries. In explaining ideas, concepts, and phenomena in words is actually the theorizing part. This lends itself well to multimedia. In instances that the practical side or the demonstration side of an idea and concept are shown on video or multimedia, the showing alone has already the explaining part. A great part of it is really explaining the idea that makes it in concept part of the theorizing. On top of this, explanation or theorizing is then repeated in a different form by words and sentences through audio. A narrator or talent theorizes in audio at the same time that things are demonstrated. It therefore stimulates both the eyes and ears as channels of discourse. We have classified the most widely used types of multimedia production in the Philippine context, and we have identified the genres as the video production, or this video production will be put on either VCD or DVD, and of course we have the PowerPoint presentation and web pages on the web and on CD-ROM. Video production is an exciting and a fulfilling creative process. We can say that with the cost of equipment getting more affordable than ever before, more and more people have access to video cameras. One can now be involved with a low-budget video production, as in an independent documentary production, where the producer is also the videographer, the director, and the production assistant as well. But most of the video productions are produced by a team, and therefore teamwork is necessary. Right now I'm in a small studio, a TV studio, and as you can see, they have an interview going on. This means that when one who goes into video production work, he or she must respect other people's work and responsibilities. In this way, one may become a treasured member of the crew. Aside from knowing and mastering the production techniques, we cannot overemphasize the importance of a good working attitude. The working attitude that is ideal for this work is the qualities of being disciplined, acknowledging responsibility, and being dependable. This ultimately means being able to deliver the tasks that are asked of you. To be able to deliver and to deliver on time is a must. Deadlines given are sacred, and no matter what, anyone expects that everybody in the team perform their task well and on time. And so, once more, people ask, can everything be put in a video format? And I say yes again. Narratives or feature videos can go as long as 2 hours. When they are shown on television, we get commercial breaks, or what we call as gaps. Our eyes are actually more adapted to short presentations. This will allow the eyes to rest. For instructional videos, it is, however, advisable to cut up your presentations into a maximum of 45 minutes per module. Any data, concept, information, or process can be accommodated and well discussed in the video format.
When we talk about video production, we talk about dealing with story and visuals. You talk about people, covering people. You talk about company profile, company event. You talk about TV production. It entails a lot of manpower, from a multi-camera setup to a single camera setup, from a minimal team of 5 to a group of 40. Basically, it depends on what you want and what you want to say.
Advantages of videotape productions. It standardizes concepts, brings to the learner inaccessible processes, It breaks the limitations of time and space. It can also record and replay in actual or real time, and it can be likewise compressed and expanded in time. It also demonstrates complex processes. It has a definite time frame for the presentation of concepts, and it livens up presentation of facts through the visuals and movement, since most often data can be uninteresting or even boring. It can also incorporate all other forms of media if necessary. It can be paused and replayed. It can be revised and updated in parts, and no need for training in the use of hardware, because just push a button to play and to pause and to rewind and to replay. It can be viewed in ordinary lighted conditions, and it is linear but can also be designed as interactive. Let's talk about video production formats. Generally, the usual formats are narrative, documentary, experimental, and animation. Formats for television are news, talk show, magazine format, comedy, drama anthology, and reality programs. In educational video format, we have expert presentation on camera with or without board work, experts in a panel discussion, instructional with field footage, treatment and structure of educational video materials, linear, or what we mean as non-stop, without pauses. It can be narrative, documentary, it can be a panel discussion, or instructional video. Constructed as segments with self-assessment questions and exercises. And you have interactive video, wherein the host or voice talks directly to the viewers and gives instructions or directions throughout the video on the applications of the subject matter and procedures being discussed. The process of putting a production together goes through three phases: pre-production, production, and post-production. And in pre-production, you have planning and conceptualization. At this stage, when the process of production is just starting, it is important that the following points will be addressed. Number one would be objectives. Two, target audience. Topic, outline, treatment, format, structure, content in essay form. Research, we talk about research, we talk about primary and secondary data, preliminary interviews, video research, photography, and graphics. This would be all part of research. Script writing with a video-audio format. Storyboard if necessary. Production. Principal videography, additional field videography, animation if any, and major graphics. Now in post-production, you have editing, special effects or SFX, music, minor graphics, character-generated credits. We shall discuss with greater detail the three phases in production. We'll point out main crew members involved in their respective functions and actualizing the pre-production, production, and post-production phases. A full crew for a production is at its maximum in a live multi-camera setup. This means that the tasks are necessarily delivered at the same time and in a shorter period compared to other setups.
Video production also entails of different formats. From a multi-camera setup to a single camera setup. When we talk about single camera setup, that means documentary, producing small segments for feature segment, for instance, for a news and current affairs program, for the website also. When you talk about big productions, it could be a variety show, it could be a musical special, it could be a news event like the impeachment or the election coverage that entails bigger production, more cameras, more people involved. Different formats, from a single cooking show to demonstration show to how-to programs, to talk TV, to news formats, which now also employs 4 camera setups, and to a musical variety like SOP, ASAP, to evening public affairs show, to drama.
These productions are done in big theaters and fed by microwave to the television station, for it can be carried live on air. This can likewise be set up in one of the largest studios of the television network. Other kinds of productions like field production or multimedia production with its final form in CD-ROM, VCD, and DVD output. This needs a smaller crew, since these productions can be done in a longer period of time. The work then can be fulfilled in installment basis. The work can be broken down in smaller portions of work to be finally joined together during the post-production stage in its editing phase.
4.
It is important at this point to discuss the different positions that people take in a production. This will give us a better idea on what goes on in the production process. I'm presenting to you a production scenario with a multi-camera setup and with a live feed on air, or a tape-as-live situation that requires a large crew. I will likewise describe a smaller crew setup with a one-camera operation field work, which is getting to be a more popular setup due to a growing demand for multimedia productions for instructional, informational, or institutional productions. The executive producer. In the Philippines, the overall in charge of production is the executive producer. Now let us talk about the overall in charge of production, the EP, or the executive producer. The EP is in charge of the overall production organization, from the director to the utility man. Whether the production is that of a super special musical for television, a talk show or a newscast, or a long-running soap opera, and maybe a one-man religious talk show for cable, or a travelogue, a corporate AVP for a launching ceremony of a new product in the market, or a training tape for a medical school. The executive producer is tasked to take charge of all the elements of the production and to ensure that they are in the proper places at the proper time. The EP will have to account for everything so that the production will be finished on time and within the allotted budget. Part of the EP's responsibility is to make sure that the script is ready, the people for all the positions are hired, and that everything else are in on time. Even the smallest detail, such as taking care of the barangay permit or bigger legal matters, is the EP's responsibility. The EP also makes sure that all equipment requirements for the production are available on the day specified for it. All the logistic requirements are the EP's responsibility, while all the creative decisions are all under that of the director. scriptwriter. The scriptwriter's work comes in during the pre-production stage. The executive producer usually meets with the scriptwriter and the director for a brainstorming session. The executive producer explains the concept or a general idea of what the program is all about. The scriptwriter makes sure that the program objectives are met with the idea that it will appeal to its target audience. It is definitely most important to talk about the format, whether it is a talk show, a game show, a newscast.
Action.
Some questions to be answered are, what will make this a special program? What makes it different from the rest of the programs with the same format? Will it be a significant show in the sense that it will contribute to the gamut of knowledge that practitioners have in that kind of genre? Or is it a cutting-edge concept that could be a trendsetter and that there has been no other show like it ever produced? It is definitely most important to talk about the format, whether it is a talk show, a game show, or a newscast, magazine format, a reality program, a documentary, even a drama anthology, or a continuing soap opera, a situation comedy, even a mini-series, or a cooking show. When an agreement has been reached among the director, executive producer, and the scriptwriter on the program's concept, target audience, format, and treatment, the scriptwriter proceeds with his work. You know, scriptwriters would have their own styles of going through the creative process of writing. Production. Let me now describe to you the production process after the threshing out that has been done in pre-production phase. So, let's start the production. The director. There must be a good working relationship with the executive producer and the director. The executive producer provides the director with all the director's needs to implement the creative side of the production. The director also helps to shape the script with the inputs when the brainstorming takes place. Sometimes the script is given to the director and already all written up, and the director, after reading, puts in the notations and even may ask the writer to rewrite some portions. It is possible that other portions may be deleted and some parts may be added if the director feels that, you know, it is not really too tight and needs a little tightening up, or to make the program flow better.
In directing a show, the number one consideration is the concept and the idea of the show. And then you have to talk about it, you have a meeting about it, and then the execution of the idea. The execution idea entails of what type of equipment you're going to use, who's your host, do you have a set, or you are doing on location. If, for instance, you are shooting on location, what type of cameras are you using? Are we using two-camera setup, single camera, multi-camera? Do we need special effects for it? Do we need special lighting? Do we need special equipment or sound for it? For instance, if you're shooting in a very crowded scene, do you need a crane, a camera crane, and so on and so forth?
The director takes a big part in the deciding on the casting of the performers, and also in determining what the production is to become. That's why it's important that he selects the cast. The first step that the director takes is to determine what the script wants to say, what the objectives of the program are, and if the director finds out, you know, what kind of reaction and action on the part of the viewers will she or he be after watching the program. And so he will have to know what is expected out of this program. And finally, what the overall image of the program should be. And the director then becomes ready to decide on the type of production design he needs or she needs, the sets, the lighting requirements, and the actors or the hosts and other performers to create a total production.
The director should also know how to deal with technicals, handling the camera, choosing what type of light he wants. For me, for instance, if you want dramatic lighting, you should insist on a particular light to use. If you want a camera, sometimes for me I used a wide angle lens for a camera to capture all the details of the show. But I use a ingenue wide, which is a flat wide, which means it minimizes the distortion. I use three digital cameras for my show, which produces a very soft image of the talent that gives him a light glow, especially in the morning newscast.
We say that the director orchestrates the entire crew just like the conductor of an orchestra. The crew members are like musicians as they operate their equipment, like the camera, the lights, the microphones, as the actors play their parts, and as everybody play a part in creating the work. So they're all part of this creative process. The director coordinates all of them and sets the overall pace of the production.
As a director, basically, what you see on screen is a director's work. It entails a lot of elements, basically. The director is the master organizer of everything. In any production, there's always chaos. And the director has always been the dictator of the entire show, or the captain of the ship. The director also has to see the flow of the concept. It must be perfect, it must be good, it has good timing, and it must be seamless, as if there is no chaos behind the camera. The director also needs to think about the audience, because I firmly believe that the director should always give what the audience need in the form of what they want. So the director should always continues to evolve as a director, thinking the audience at the same time, thinking the concept at the same time, organizing the entire show.
The director then re-examines the script and does a rough estimate of the total time and the more detailed time per cut or segment. Then the script is put in a final format, and this then is replicated for distribution to all the crew members. And once this is done, the finer production details are decided on, and the director calls a production conference, and this is then where they prepare all requirements necessary for the taping day. And here is where stage plans, sets, lighting, audio, and other technical requirements are discussed and decided on. And there may be costumes, props, and other special requirements that will have to be executed for the program and scheduled for fabrication. And video research, that's very important, video research, or what we call field work for some advanced footage. Maybe this will be required and it may be needed prior the major taping day. So this has to be done prior the major taping day and are likewise taken up in these conferences. The director on a taping day must have had a close look at the script, and she or he should understand it very well. And here, most probably, this person, the director, has done notations on how it will be handled and implemented. The director has a full grasp of the pacing and that of all sequences and portions are needed to make the program so that it can be what we call as a working whole. So camera positioning and also the blocking of actors, or where you're going to put your hosts or where you're going to put your actors, and the performers must be clear in the director's thoughts, and whatever instructions or tasks are to be done should all be noted down by the director as a reminder on the day of the taping. The director is in charge at the rehearsals and likewise in the day of taping. It is important that the director articulates everything that are needed to be done by all the members of the production and all the members on or behind the cameras. So clear instructions are important. The director cannot simply make them guess the things that they have to do. So it's important that the director articulates what he or she wants done.
Okay, being a director, you should always think fast. You should be decisive and you should be strong. There are times that chaos is happening behind your back. For instance, the remote point's not ready, the tape is not here, the talent's not ready, there is no audio on the talent's microphone. What will you do? The director now should think fast on what would come next. So he or she must decide right there and there what to do and communicate that idea to 40 people. Also, the director has the responsibility to take care of the talents, especially if you're dealing with news and public affairs. He must take care of the image of the talent. You must shoot him or shoot her as truthful as possible, at the same time giving the proper framing and the proper shot that this news anchor needs to project the news in a manner that is not offensive but rather more of conversation. So the 40 people should act on what the director would say, and if the director would say cut, everybody should say cut. If the director would say we go to a commercial, everyone should follow the director's lead. One example of a news event that we did was during the impeachment trial, when our team was summoned by Justice Divide because of the microphone that was found inside the Senate. So the idea basically for us director or producer of the event, we wanted to capture some of the ambient sound, the natural sound of the courtroom. Of course, Senator Osmeña at that time was thinking that we are trying to take some of the unhidden or unspoken words that they're talking about during the session. But we clearly explained to them that the microphone is there precisely just to pick up natural sound, because natural sound gives a different perspective in terms of sound, in terms of the shot.
In case of a drama, there is a lot of time consumed in giving instructions and motivations that the director goes through with the actors. This is so because usually this genre are more precise in movement and dialogue. In talk shows and comedy, it is often more free, and there is a strong need for spontaneity and natural timing in the part of the performers. So in talk shows, too much rehearsals and coaching may even ruin the whole program. It is recommended that not everything should be predicted. The ad-libs and the surprises are necessary to these types of genres. And the discussion of general topics and general scenarios are what are needed. Just some discussion on when the director is leading to a gap for a station break or a commercial is necessary. The director will always have to be in control. He or she has to exude the confidence. This is important, especially in live telecast situations. Now, let us assume that you are the director, taping us live, and make sure that machine starts recording. Always give ready cues, so that means ready to cut to 2, that's what you say, or ready to zoom in, and you have to give very, very clear commands. And it is a must to be ready with the opening billboards, or what we call the OBB, and the closing credits, or the CBB. And music, so you say ready to go grams, that means music. And come in grams, or you say fade in music, and BG level or background level. So you have to give all these commands when you're taping live. And also the lights. Then you can you have to also make sure that the audio is on or up, and you say mics up, or you can say mics out, and all these things will have to be at your fingertips if you are the director. And other footage that you need for the show, it should be there, it should be planned, and this will be the footage that are necessary to be inserted in from the VTR room or from the booth. Make sure that the camera shot selected from the monitors are the shots you want on the program. So call the camera shots properly and give instructions on the framing of your shot. You can say to your camera one person, you say 1, zoom in, hold the shot, ready, stand by, hold the shot, and then cut to 1, and you say 1, it is with you. While recording or going on air, always be aware of the time. Every gap, you have to pay attention and always be ahead by 3 minutes or even a little more. Give instructions to the floor director if you want your talent, to stretch. In other words, it's not yet time to go, and so you can stretch or even speed up in giving the parting words, for example. And after taping, the soonest possible time, rewind the latter part of what you have taken and to review it. You have to review it to make sure that you have recorded the event.
Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat. Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Magpakailan.
The director must be decisive, must be strong, must be has quick thinking, and must be decide on a very important matter. Directing every day is hard work. Directing every day means you have to be fast, you have to be quick, you have to decide right there and there. Because if there's no audio with the talent, if the tape's not available, if the remote point signal is not good, the director should decide what to do next and then communicate that to the entire crew. So the entire crew should follow the lead of the director. If he wants to go to a commercial, they'll go to a commercial. If he wants to go to take 1 to take 16 of a news item, they should follow the director, because the director is the captain, the director is the dictator, the director is the main guy in the production.
The assistant director. Okay, now let's talk about the assistant director. The assistant director or the AD is assigned various tasks of which will depend upon the type of program and the working style of the director. Well, some directors will always want their AD to be by their side and to tell them what sequence will be taped, or if you know you're going on live, to tell the director what is coming up next, so that the director can concentrate on the type of shots that are fed into the program. The AD works together with the director way ahead of the other members of the crew, attending the production conferences in order that there is familiarity in the working style of the director will help the AD adjust. In programs where there is a large audience, the AD may be given the task of briefing them on what to expect from the program and that they are about to witness. And the standard and the main responsibilities of the AD is to time the whole program. You know, in dramas that are not in sequence when they are being taped, it is important that the AD gives the director every now and then the running time of the footage that has been taken. So the AD is there to remind the director if he or she is about to go under time or overtime, or whether the program is just doing the right time. This is very essential to make sure that there is smooth conclusions in the ending portions of the program when it's about to approach the gaps or even the end of the program. The total segments will have to be timed, including the tape inserts, the opening and the closing segments, and the segments in between. It is needed to be aware of the length of the gaps. This will guide the director on how much more running time is needed for a footage for the whole program. As part of the responsibility of keeping time, it is important that the AD notes the time of every segment during the rehearsal, so that the director could adjust either in speed, or we should go speed up, or even stretch the time of performances on the actual taping day, so that there can be an estimated time of each segment and during the actual taping. The AD can also be given the role of being in charge of the crew, that the crew members are all in their places when the director wants to start work. During rehearsals, the director will be giving various directions before the actual take, and therefore it is important that the notes of the AD be complete, and because this is what would be referred to in times of actual taping. In live coverage, and there is a VTR insert to come in the end of the program, then it is important to count backwards for the AD, timing the length of the segment so as to determine the exact time that it should come in and not be cut. The AD may also take down notes, like technical notes that may have slipped from the mind of the director. It is essential that continuity notes be complete, most especially in instances when segments are not taped on a sequential order. So this will assure the inclusion of the segment within the allotted time. And eventually it is very important that the AD makes sure that all the notations and the instructions of the director will be implemented in the final recording of the segments. It is likewise expected that in the post-production phase, the AD is there to remind the editor of the inclusion of post-production notes of the director, like type of transitions needed, graphics, character-generated materials, video researched materials, opening billboards, and also the closing billboards. These are in instances when it is not a live broadcast. The floor director. Now, let's talk about the floor director. The FD, or the floor director, is the extension of the director in the studio. The main job of the FD is to communicate with the talent or talents, since the director is inside the control booth. In this setup, the director cannot give instructions directly to the performers, who generally do not wear headsets. All instructions are relayed by the floor director through hand signals or by writing on a small handy whiteboard. Now, prior the recording proper, the FD attends to the needs of the talents so that they will be physically and mentally comfortable with the working environment. It is important that the FD create a rapport with the talent, so it will be easy to communicate the instructions of the director and not make the talents guess on what is happening in the control booth. In a way, the FD tries to answer the probable questions of the talent even before they are asked, to take away the mysteries that are happening in the studio so that the talent can stay focused on what he or she is to do. And since the talent is not connected through an intercom to the control booth, the FD explains things like why there is some delay, or if there are certain technical difficulties, and so on. So the FD will have to continuously communicate to the talent, and there should be some explanation on why there is a certain commotion going on in one corner of the studio, so that the talent is not left in the dark, even if he or she is on the spotlight. What is important is for the FD to repeat the instructions and the comments of the director as a rule, unless the director precisely says otherwise. The FD cannot give instructions verbally while the recording session is on air, or when the program itself is on air. Therefore, all instructions must be given through hand signals. So it is important to remember that the FD will have to stand where the talent can see the FD well, where the hand signals are given. It is usually a good spot to be under the lens of the camera. Whatever camera is being used, that's where the FD should be, under the lens of that particular camera. The FD, however, will have to be careful not to be seen on camera while performing his or her duties. Now try to imagine that you are the talent under the hot spotlight, and you do not see beyond a certain point, and you feel, of course, isolated. You will then see the essential role of an FD. The FD will give the instructions prior taping, like when and where the talent is supposed to stand and to move to a certain spot, or when to use a particular prop, and many other details. So now let's talk about the hand signals of the FD. Now let's watch this. Stand by. Stand by means ready to start, ready to record, and everybody should be quiet on the floor. Here the FD raises hand on air with fingers raised upward. You're on. The FD points to the performer or points to the camera that is on air. You're on. means you're on cue. It's now time for you to start talking. That's what it means. If there is only one camera on the floor, point to the talent. This is the cue for the talent to start talking. If what is being recorded is a drama, the usual instruction is action. Get closer to each other. The FD puts up hands apart with palms facing each other and puts hands together, palm on palm. This means that the talents are too far apart and that they are to go closer together. Or this may mean that you're asking your talent to go closer to the object of interest. Get farther apart. The FD puts hands together, back to back, pulls them sharply apart, and get farther apart is instructing talents who are close together. Change. What the FD does is FD swings arm with a wide arc pointing to the next camera to be used. The camera change means that the talent is being instructed to talk to the other camera. Now let's go to the term stretch. This is the hand signal for stretch. The FD pulls closed fist apart like stretching a big rubber band. Stretch means for the talent to slow down. And this means that the talent is talking too fast and that there is still time to go on. The talent may do more ad-lib to fill up the remaining time to avoid dead air. Now, speed it up or speed up. The FD puts hand up into the air showing forefinger in a circular motion. Speed it up means that the talent is talking too slow and that we are running out of time. The other hand signal would be OK. The FD forms an O with thumb and forefinger with the rest of the three fingers raised wide apart. OK means what? All is well, and that the talent's position is just fine. Now, 5 minutes to go. The FD puts hand with 5 fingers spread apart. This is telling the talent of the remaining time available for him to wind up what he is talking about, and that there is 5 more minutes to go. 5 fingers up means 5 minutes to go. 2 fingers up means 2 minutes to go. And 1 finger up means 1 minute to go. And the FD may also use the whiteboard to write down the number of minutes to go. Now, half a minute to go. The FD crosses arms at midpoint. This means that it is time to end the segment or to end the show itself. Wrap it up. The FD makes a circular motion with clenched fist, and this means that there are a few seconds left and it's time to say goodbye. And of course, cut. The FD makes movement like slashing throat with finger or the end of the hand. This is where the FD makes the movement like, slashing the throat with a finger or the edge of the hand. This means that the show is finished and off the air, or that the recording has stopped. Now, to recap, the responsibilities of the FD is to check whether the crew on the floor are in their places, to give hand signals to the talent, acts as the director's contact to the talents in the studio, moves props when the director instructs adjustments, and be extra alert to be able to solve problems that may occur on the studio floor. Finally, the FD takes charge of returning all props and other materials after recording or going on air. The key person on the studio floor is the floor director.